Cool. Hi. We did the movie Catch Me If You Can, and this is by Matthew Monroy and Daniel Wen. So the character we looked at was the character Frank Abagnale Jr., who is shown on the right. He's a young teenager who becomes a con man after he runs away from his family once they have a divorce. He tricks people into thinking he's a pilot, doctor, and a lawyer, and the movie follows his journey from being on the run to being caught.
So the culture and setting of this movie is the 1950s America, where psychological knowledge was limited and Frank's ability to trick people was easier because of the lack of technology. And because psychological knowledge was limited, less experts were able to help Frank out.
So we diagnosed Frank with personality disorder, and he has antisocial personality disorder, also known as ASPD. He is informally would be called a psychopath. However, this terminology is not used too much now. The ASPD condition is marked by manipulation tactics and violation of others, and more oftenly, a willingness to break societal laws and go against society norms. Psychopathy is not a category in the DSM-5. However, it is very well known, and Patrick's triarchric model shows that people who are psychopaths have a disinhibition and have problems with impulse control. They are bold and able to go out and just be themselves, and then meanness and can show aggressive and hostility towards others.
Again, for cultural context, ASPD was not added to the DSM until the 1960s. A psychologist in Frank's time might raise some concerns, but ultimately would dismiss Frank. The 1950s masculinity stigma expectations might cause Frank to not seek help.
However, not all cultures may diagnose this. In some cultures where it may be encouraged to break rules and be competitive, Frank's symptoms might even be welcome. As the erosion of morality can occur in society, people like Frank might become more and more prevalent, and in legalistic societies, they may have less cases of this because the law is strictly laid down.
So, cultural stigmas, we have societal stigmas of psychopaths as elusive, manipulative, and charming, and cultural stigmas of not liking those who manipulate. We also have the alpha male mentality, may, however, be in praise of some of these traits.
So the first symptom that Frank shows is courageousness. So Frank is constantly willing to run from the authorities, and he's able to court the law. And despite the walls closing in around him, he continues to consistently break the law over and over again. He remains calm when he pretends to be a Secret Service agent, when he comes very close to being caught. And this shows his boldness in what he does, and he's always doing something drastic. And he remains very confident in all of his schemes. The second symptom is extroversion. So all of Frank's scams involve him manipulating how others perceive him and faking who he really is. He becomes very good at talking to people, and he always goes on about saying the people are too focused on the Yankees pinstripe, showing a reminder of how he deceives people by making them think he's something that he's not. And his bank scams usually involve him charming women. One unshown symptom is aggressiveness. This is associated with ASPD, as many psychopaths will lash out violently due to their propension to breaking societal rules and being able to hurt others because they don't care about them. However, Frank does not cross this line of physically hurting others, and he actually goes out of his way to make sure that no harm is done.
So, for our proposed treatment plan for Frank is cognitive behavioral therapy, or known as CBT. CBT is a talking therapy that aims to change the way a person thinks and acts. But as far as medicine goes, carbamazepine and lithium may help control symptoms such as aggression and impulsive behavior, but we know that Frank does not show any signs of aggression. There is also little evidence supporting use of medicine for treatment. And CBT, the steps of CBT is identifying troubling situations or conditions in your life. That would be the trigger of Frank's parents' divorce that causes him to have all these impulsive decisions to make. And then he has to become aware of those thoughts and beliefs. And then after that, he has to identify the negative or inaccurate thinking. And then finally, we have to reshape negative or inaccurate thinking. Why this treatment is appropriate is because we believe that CBT is our best bet in treating Frank's disorder and its symptoms. By changing how Frank thinks, he will be less likely to be so bold and make these impulsive decisions to break the law. Some ethical concerns about CBT is that it might fall in the department of humanistic approach, as CBT is usually formulaic and very solution focused without regards to how the patient is feeling.
So some situation.
Some situational, cultural, or societal barriers are, as previously stated, the 1950s are very is a time of low psychological knowledge, so treatment for these mental disorders were practically non-existent. Another cultural barrier might be the expectations of a masculine figure to tough out and deal with it rather than seek proper treatment and help.
So we found that this portrayal is mostly accurate. The divorce that served as the triggering event, and this pushed Frank into being like this. And this is also based on a true story of Frank Abagnale Jr., who was a real con man in the 1950s. Since it is a movie, some parts of the story may be embellished. However, emotionally disturbed, which is the terminology most people would now use to describe people with ASPD, and that describes Frank, better than emotionally detached, which is how much of the media depicts psychopaths. So the stereotype of eagle psychopath is very common and is hard to separate from the media, as many people hear the word psychopath and think of something bad. However, the way these traits develop can come out of hard familial or social situations. And when disorders like these are portrayed accurately, they raise awareness and give those who need it real treatment that they need. It shows that these conditions are very multifaceted, and we should, as a society, help those who have struggled. Thank you.